Hey guys, wasn't going to do a video tonight, but I guess maybe I will. Maybe this will be a video. It's Friday the 13th. Woo! I'm not superstitious like that. And I'm watching a YouTube show about the Fedor and Shane rematch that starts sometime tonight, in the next couple hours, I bet. And of course, they're talking about predictions and things like that. And so I've been thinking about that kind of thing. I have, I have opinions, and they may not be mainstream opinions. When Shane first hit the scene, when he was 20, around 20, a little bit older, a little bit younger, I was not a fan. And it wasn't because of a lack of talent. It was because of his fans. It seemed to me like the first time Shane ever made three balls in a row, there were people out there clamoring to tear down statues of Efren and put up pictures of Shane as the greatest player of all time. Just the way it seemed, it probably wasn't quite that bad, but it seemed that way. And I watched Shane. He would go, to Derby City every year. So even though I didn't watch a lot of the rotation games, I would watch the bank pool. I would watch the one pocket. Shane won a lot of those one pocket tournaments. I don't think Shane ever won bank pool tournament. I know he came in second one year. And the year he came in second is another reason I was just not a fan. There was something that happened during that finals match that I didn't like, and I doubt that very many people liked. Anyway, it's been kind of amazing the turnaround that I've had in my mind, my opinion towards Shane, just these last few years. He definitely seems to have mellowed over the years, not being, quite so brash. Um, and he's a loner, like, I kind of am, like an introvert, like I kind of am. And so I can definitely see that. The thing I always said was, and I still say this, I say this about Federer as well. If I was that good at that young of an age, and I'm not talking about when I was early 20s, I was a really good league player. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being a really good world-class pool player. If I was that good at that young age, how would I have acted? I don't know. I might have gotten a really big, huge, giant chip on my shoulder. I thought that my what didn't stink. And that's what I saw of Shane 20 years ago. I saw that. A sense of entitlement. And I'm going to be honest, sometimes I see that out of Federer these days. But again, Federer's young, one of the absolute best players in the world. Some people might even say the best player in the world. Although I don't think I would go that far. I probably have to give that nod to Josh Filler. But I see the same kind of sense of entitlement. And it turns me off a little bit. The first time these two played, I think Federer outplayed Shane until the very end, when Shane just decided, you know what, I think I want to win this, and he ended up coming back and winning it. Made a pretty big comeback and won it. And so this time around, I am, as weird as it sounds to me, I'm going to say it. It's going to sound weird to, inside my own head, is I'm going to be rooting for Shane. Like I said, the turnaround that I've had in my mind, my opinion of Shane, not as a player, but as a person I would want to hang out with, talk to, whatever, a fan, it's completely changed. It's completely changed. Things that people were saying about him 20 years ago, they're all coming true, or they've already come true. People are saying the same things about Federer now. Federer still has another 20 years to go to really prove that, to really cement his place in history. Of course, he's got a good place in history right now already. If he quit playing right now, he's probably still going to have more Derby City things than anybody than Efren. But he doesn't have the longevity yet. I think that he will, but he doesn't have it yet. That's like I said, for this weekend, I'm going to be rooting for Shane. It's not going to be a big giant. Oh my gosh, I'm going to cry or kill myself if Fedor doesn't win, or if Shane doesn't win. No, it's not going to be like that. You know, I'm in Southern Indiana. They're playing over in Louisville. I'm not going to go there and watch. Well, partly because it's 10 ball, and partly because it's all the way over in Louisville, and I don't feel like going all the way over there and dealing with all that crowding and all that. Again, I'm an introvert. The pandemic didn't help with that situation. I think that, man, it's so hard. It's so hard to say because I don't want to sound like I'm knocking Federer at all. I think the young man is an unbelievable talent and hell, an unbelievably nice guy. But I'm not sure he has the fire that someone like Shane can get. Shane doesn't have it all the time. We've all seen Shane slump in his chair during tournament matches and stuff like that, basically give up when the match is only halfway over with. We've all seen that. The times I've really seen Federer get really tested, I haven't seen him give up, but he hasn't kicked into a higher gear and reminded everybody who he is and how good he is. Whereas as Shane has done that several times, if he's down, feels like he's not playing all that well, whatever, he either slumps in his chair or he hits another gear and remembers who he is and reminds everybody else of who he is. And I like that. I like that, well, quite a bit. And that's not the only reason that I've changed my opinion of Shane. As I said, the impression that I had of him as being a entitled person, I may have been wrong to begin with, but he's not like that anymore. He doesn't seem like that to me anymore. And I don't talk to him. I talked to him one time, told him, hey, I met your mom once in the late 80s. And he wasn't very thrilled with that, but why would he be? Some of the things about being, famous or whatever is that you get all kinds of idiots coming up trying to talk to you all the time. And eventually, a lot of people will eventually, leave me alone. I'm trying to buy a beer or a Coke or whatever he was buying at the time. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. I found it interesting because, of course, I've been hearing, Shane's name for a million years. And at the time, I wasn't even that big of a fan because of the reasons I talked about. But as it turned out, there was a documentary about him. And in that documentary, it had his mom. And I had met his mom a million years ago in a tournament in South Dakota. Me and my roommate drove up to, we met his mom, we met his aunt, and we met his grandfather. Shane wasn't there. He was probably like 3 years old back then. But it was cool. For me, it kind of humanized him a little bit in my mind. Obviously, he was already human, not like Dennis, who was an alien robot, but he was already human. And then, okay, he's not only human. I've met a lot of his family, and they were all nice people as well. It was very, I don't know, it was cool. It was a little bit eye-opening for me, I guess. And made me start thinking about Shane in different terms. Not an elitist, not a snob. I don't think he's ever acted snobbish, but not as an entitled person, but as somebody that just has a lot of talent and works really hard. Federer's same way, a lot of talent, works really hard, but he does still have that albatross around his neck. Is that a saying, albatross around his neck? It still has that, I guess, maturity that he probably needs to develop a little bit, and he needs to lose a little bit of that air of entitlement that, in my opinion, he seems to have. I could be completely wrong about this. I hardly ever have talked to Federer as well, even though we live in the same state, and I could go over to rail yard whenever he's in the area and talk to him. He's friendly because I don't want to bother him. He's busy working and practicing and doing his YouTube and marketing and all that stuff. But there's nothing about him that to me um, makes me think that he's any kind of like an introvert or aloof or anything like I've always thought about Shane. But he's still very friendly and outgoing and all that stuff. I don't want it to sound like anything I'm saying is to knock either player. But that's my pick. It's Friday night. They haven't started playing yet. Yep. That is my pick. I could be completely wrong. These are two of the top players in the world. Anybody could win. I just, a little part of me wants to root for Shane to win. I guess that's another thing. And this is a stupid reason, okay? Is that Shane may not have, he's in his early 40s, I guess now. He may not have that many matches like this left in him. Let's face it, people do get older. I'm a somewhat living example of the fact that people do get older. He may not have that many of these matches left in him where he can compete at the level he can compete at now. But Fedor still has 20 years of those matches like that. So maybe that's a part of it. I'm not saying, once this match is over with, start throwing dirt over Shane because he's done. That's not the case. Certainly hope that's not the case. But that's probably weighing into my mind a little bit as far as who to root for. I think it'd be very cool to have the middle-aged, I can say middle-aged, he's in his 40s, right? The middle-aged veteran against the much younger up-and-coming player. So that's my pick and my guess is that Shane is going to win this match. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. I have been wrong many times in my life, and I stopped being sad about that a long time ago. Thanks, guys.